1 in 4 accidents involving motorbikes or bicycles results in the rider dying or suffering brain damage. Over the past 20 years, I've pulled apart over 100 helmets involved in accidents. The liners showed little or no evidence of damage, which proved to me that the helmet wasn't doing its job properly. The cone head liner is a shock-absorbing liner for helmets. It has unique cone-shaped, low-density foam structures embedded into the high-density lining. The cones compress on impact, allowing the lining to absorb the force more effectively. So now, not only is it cool to have a cone head if you ride a motorbike, you'll also improve your chances of survival if you have an accident.
Please welcome from Brisbane, Don Morgan. Hi, Don.
How are you?
Very good, thank you. Now, if you're on a motorbike and you hit the ground, if your head hits the ground 30 or 40 kilometres an hour, you're likely to be in big trouble, right?
Yes, you are, depending on what sort of foam liner you've got in your helmet.
Well, what's so good about cones? Why the cone? Because you tried other shapes, didn't you?
Cones have got that unique property that when you apply a force to it, they'll initially or readily compress, and as you continue to apply that force, they'll continue to compress, but they'll become harder to compress.
Okay, so it means that, doesn't it, that they compress quickly first and then slow down.
Exactly,
so quick
John.
And then slow down. Now, I've seen people with hairstyles like this, but this is the inside of the motorbike helmet that you've created,
That's right? Yes, exactly.
The cone head, and all these, they're all the cones that are designed for that. Now, I don't know if we can see here, but it's in five different sections.
That's right, yes.
So you can vary the density of the cones.
Yes, that's right.
Depending on which areas of your head need most cushioning, like your temples, I guess, need.
That's right, exactly.
When you put this high-density rubber on, you can just see the tops of the cones peeking through there, and so you've got two types of rubber melding in together, and then you make it into a helmet. Coming across to the... You obviously reckon it will be substantially safer.
Well, yes, much substantially safer.
Much substantially.
I tell you what, I've investigated a lot of accidents.
Yes.
And a lot of the liners are hard. They're of one density liners. Yep. And they don't effectively absorb an impact force. And
am I right in thinking that your helmet, the cone head, will cost about as much as some other motorcycle helmets?
They'll be top-of-the-range helmet.
Vina.
Hi, Don. Now, combining the two different densities, two different types of foams that you have there can be a challenge. How do you ensure that the two density foams have fused well together?
That was always a big problem when we first manufactured it. That was one of the things that I was wondering whether it was going to work. But it does work.
Now, the liner is going to harden, you know, with time, with use. Could someone, in fact... That's right. Now, could someone, in fact, just replace the liner alone?
No, it's always recommended that you replace the whole helmet.
Okay.
Yes.
Chris?
Yeah, but this is pretty topical for me, James, because my son got knocked down and knocked out off his bike only a couple of weeks ago.
Really?
And,
is he all right?
Yeah, no, he's a bit of amnesia, so it wasn't good. But anyway, I guess so. My question with this, though, is that this clearly will self-destruct as it's protecting. So is there some sort of
it's a controlled self-destruct.
It's a self... I understand that. But while it's controlling the deceleration, it is... You wouldn't use it a second time.
No, that's right.
But it's very misleading looking at the outside of the hat, the helmet, that in fact you can't tell. So I'm wondering if you could have some sort of die release or something which means that anyone who picked it up could see that had been used and smashed and shouldn't be used again because there was dial over it or something.
With the liner itself, you will see some compression in the actual liner, whereas with single density foam, the hard density, you very rarely see any damage to it.
No, you don't, absolutely.
That's right.
Yeah, well, that's an interesting point, because I was thinking about the Australian standard test for double impact, so the impact of the collision and the impact as it hits the ground. So if you've initially crumpled, how are you going to perform for that double impact test when straight after you've got a second impact on the cones?
Well, they've already passed the standard. We've been testing it to the European standard, and the European standard is very similar to a lot of the other standards around the world, which requires the two impacts. If they don't get past the two impacts, well, you can't sell them.
You'll be back to the drawing board.
That's right. We're there, that's right.
I wonder how many people know that over time the foam actually hardens to the point where it starts losing some of its effectiveness, just generally. I mean, I didn't know that, and I ski in a helmet.
Well,
I
know about it, but it was a biker who told me. He said, do you realise that the foam becomes harder with use?
Summing up, Pina.
Don, it's really great that you've come up with the provision to have dual densities in your foam. You just need to obviously have systems to ensure that product quality can be achieved consistently.
Yes.
Yeah, I think this is one of the most important innovations we've seen on this show, and if nothing else, it should be a wake-up call to those who set the standards globally to get their standards sorted out so it actually is doing the job it's supposed to do.
Yes.
Yeah, well, cars added crumple zones years ago, and helmets are pretty much in the dark ages, so, you tick every box for me. I think it's amazing.
Thank you very much. Good on you, Don. Good luck with it. Hope it goes very well. Please thank Don Morgan. Thank you very much.